All right, I gotta stop dicking around with this thing. All right, chapter 2. Well, I like it outside of the military. Hey, you never know. You're going to try something new, and this is something definitely new that you're not going to be ready for. It's going to be something different that you haven't experienced. Not unless, if you're in the reserves, you're outside, and you get that feeling. Totally understand it. I did reserve, I did active duty, and then once you come off active duty, it is a big transition. So something to think about. Key things that you need to think about, like I mentioned before, is going to be your body, your balance, your being, and if you want to, business. Business could be anything. It could be going back into regular work, contracting, or GS job, or not doing anything for a while. That's totally up to you, your decision. But you got to remember to take into consideration, you got your finances, your lifestyle, obviously your medications through the VA or your benefits that you get. You have to worry about your family, insurances, investments, and a work life if you so choose to have one. I'm going to try and keep my notes together here. So the first things first is finance. You want to look at your finances. When you're dealing with your finance, the critical things, in my opinion, would be to look at what you're making now, whether it be active duty or reserve, picking up that extra money, or even just in general. I'm going to focus on active duty right now. You have all those additional add-ins into your paycheck, like your BAH. You have your medical benefits, they're added in there, and a couple little odd and end things, depending if you have a special billet, such as an aviator or a submariner or something like that, and you have hazard pay you got to deal with, flight pay, and all those extra goodies. So those are some things to take into consideration when you're transitioning. The biggest thing out of that is, if you're looking to find a job, you need to find something similar in paycheck that you're grown accustomed to, which is part of that in your lifestyle. You may live a very frugal life on active duty, which is great. That'll end up benefiting you in the long run. The big thing that we deal with, and I'll even tell you, my generation alone, we had a lot of stuff, the things, all of the things. And we always had to compete with the Joneses. It doesn't do you any good. It's better to invest at the time. I'm preaching to the choir at this point because we've all made our mistakes. We're all growing from it at this point. So something to look back on. Now, if you've done properly and you've taken care of that lifestyle and you're accustomed to a certain lifestyle, you're going to make sure that your income is commensurate. That's the key thing that I'm talking about. So if you can take that and focus on your paycheck, take out the BAH and take out the medical benefits and look at your base pay and utilize that as your, what I will call a safety net, as your minimum baseline of income. Then from there, you got to consider the cost of the benefits and all that other type of stuff. And that's where, I mentioned earlier, the meds. If you're 100% disabled, actually, I believe it's over 50% disabled, you will get VA support for your prescriptions and some of your medical care. If you hit 100%, you're going to end up getting all of that as part of the package in your retirement, plus a little bit of compensation on top of that. Which then goes to the family. How are you going to take care of your family? You have TRICARE for life. I don't know enough about it, but I'll break that down in another book to get additional resources to support the information that will assist you if that's the route that you choose. If that's not the route that you choose and you end up taking a job as a contractor or a GS position, you'll have the options of the medical benefits that they provide to you, and that'll be part of your compensation package. Like your active duty pay, it's going to be in addition to your base pay. But you have to consider that it's an add-on, but it's removed because they take it away or they supplement in order to boost your actual salary up. So something to consider when you're doing that. And with your family, you have to worry about, adding a spouse or adding additional dependents. Those are additional deductions out of your paycheck, even though you have the compensatory addition. So that's where you got to really look at where the package is when you are actually looking to get hired by a company outside of the military. The next thing would be like insurances. Again, that goes back to your TRICARE, your VA. If you want additional ones, you want, short-term, long-term, accidental death and dismemberment. Again, FMLA, Family Leave Medical Act, Family Medical Leave Act. That will help you if you have to take a short-term leave of absence from work in the regular world. Kind of sort of like con leave, but not the exact same. There's ways that you get paid during that time off. Some don't pay you at all. I'll have to do a little bit more research, and I'll add that into the follow-on book with the TRICARE and insurance avenues that I start to talk about at a later time. Your investments. The other piece of that is your investments. What have you invested in during your tenure that will help you ease the transition? So if you have great investments during your time on active duty to the point where you really don't have to work, but you want to work, that's fantastic. All that additional passive income is fantastic. It'll supplement your retirement pay. It'll supplement whether you have VA pay or not. And it'll actually just be great to have on hand just in case, because you know how times are right now. I don't need to explain it. It's not going to get any easier. And as you can see or hear, I am not a young kid. So making those investments at a younger age, outstanding. If you're in the same position as me, got to pull the reins in and start to focus really hard on what you need to do for your investments, especially if you have little kids. If you have children, I highly recommend sitting down with a financial planner and working with them so that you can get the maximum amount of money put into investments that will be returnable to you during your lifetime. You don't want to have it only for your children. You want to be able to utilize and spend some of those investment funds that you've earned and you deserve at this point in time in your life. And then the last thing that I'm going to mention in this particular thing is your work life. Work life while on active duty can be what you make it. Depends on your rank as you're growing up, regardless of enlisted or officer. You break your ass to get to where you are at this point in time. If you've done 20 years, you know what I'm talking about. You've worked hard your whole entire career to get that paycheck at the end and then do whatever you prefer that's to your liking, and not so much, dealing with some of the bullshit that we have to deal with growing up. You have to pay your dues, as what everybody says. Well, guess what? Your dues have been paid. They've been paid in full and then some. If you've deployed multiple times, you've paid your dues. You're back here all in one piece. You've paid your dues and then some. You paid your dues and you made it back and you're broken, blown up, shot, injured, all the other things that go along with it. You paid your dues. You've paid your dues and then some. You've actually even carried an extra burden for some of the other guys that haven't had the opportunity to do what you've done. Don't ever discount all of the work and all of the things that you've done for yourself and your country and your family. I started off with work life. Work life is what you make of it. Your work life needs to be commensurate for what you've earned. And what I mean by that is, I reiterated multiple times, do not discount your accomplishments. Ever. And what I mean by that is, we all, it doesn't matter if you're a freaking corporal, specialist, sergeant major, lieutenant colonel, general, we all discount what we've done what we've accomplished. The hardest part is transitioning the vocabulary of your accomplishments into the civilian sector. That'll be a whole nother book that I will actually get out faster now that I'm thinking about it. Don't discount your accomplishments. If you're a fire team leader, you're a manager. If you're a squad leader, you're an executive. If you're a platoon sergeant, you are a multifaceted, dynamic leader. If you're a platoon commander, you organize, maintain, and execute executive decisions. And believe it or not, that could be as low as a staff sergeant. You don't have to be an officer to do all those things. Ask me how I know. And I discounted every minute of it. Get with professionals long prior to your retirement to help you work on the vocabulary and transition all of your accomplishments into the real, true, executable positions that you could do. Director of operations, believe it or not, platoon commander. There's just so much available outside that we don't realize that we are capable of. Don't discount it, and take that into consideration when you're thinking about your work life. Your work life will be everything to you when you get out. It'll change, and it will affect everything in your life. Your body, your being, your balance, and a business. Your body's your fitness and fuel. Your being is your meditation and relationship with God. Your balance is your family and your children, your wife, spouse, husband, whatever.